Hooty hoo, all my stock market gamblers. Welcome today. I'm Tall Mike. So glad you're here. Well, we got this market. It's kind of moving sideways, right? It's moving kind of sideways, not going anywhere, kind of just a sideways pattern. Now, I think we all know that there's going to be a rug pull, right? I mean, we had this big run up and getting people to go into the markets, and eventually they're going to pull the rug out, and then we're going to get that collapse I've been talking about. I think that's coming. Now, the question is, will the collapse come before we hit a new high on the S&P? The S&P, the old record high is 48.18, and will we hit 48.18 before they drop this market? Now, my personal opinion is yes, we're going to run up. We're going to hit 48.18. We're going to take out that S&P record high, and that's going to be the big headline, and everybody's going to come running into the market, and then they're going to pull the rug out. That's just my take. Your take may be completely different. Maybe we crash before we get to 48.18. We'll see how it plays out. All right, let's get over to the real estate market now. I want to talk about the latest article I read. Anyways, here's the headline. Bidding wars erupt to kick off 2024. Bidding wars on houses erupt to kick off 2024. Listings are seeing over 30 offers on many homes. 30 offers out there. Look at the first 2 weeks of January. It erupted, multiple offers on all these listings. Now let's think about this. 80% of the country is frozen over in snow, but yet people are going out 30 at a time and making offers on houses and bidding them up again. I mean, you would think this is the hottest real estate market in the history of the world, but what they don't tell you really, the truth. The truth is it's frozen over like most of the United States right now. There's not 30 multiple offers on the average home out there. It's just not happening, but that's what they'd like you to think. They say that rate-sensitive buyers have now jumped back into the market because you see, rates, they went from 8% down to 7%. 8% down to 7%. They jumped back in. They're creating multiple offers, 30 on each home at a time. Incredible. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Come on now, really? Okay, I mean, what the article is basically saying is hurry up and buy so you can lose the house into foreclosure. Hurry up and buy now, lose it into foreclosure later, because that's what's going to happen to these people. If there's 30 offers on a home right now, bidding it up in the most affordable home market in the history of the world, they're going to lose them to foreclosures. Foreclosures are spiking up a lot. Okay, now, if you read the news, you probably heard about car repossessions. Car repossessions, about 10,000 a day. Why? Why so many? Why so many? Millions and millions of people are losing their cars. But why? Why? Because they overpaid for them during the pandemic. And now they realize that they can't afford them. They realize that they're underwater, and they're just letting the repo man come and take it. 10,000 a day. They want out of their car payments, and that's the easiest way. Stop making the payment. The repo man will come and get your car. So, cars, they lead the housing market, right? I mean, the repossessions are what you're going to see in the housing market soon. You see, right now we're seeing it in the car market. Soon you're going to be seeing it in the housing market. Foreclosures are on the rise. They're going to come and take your house. Why? Because you overpaid for it. Because you're going to be underwater soon. Because you don't want to keep making your payments. You're going to give the house back to the bank. So hurry up, go out there and buy, bid against these 30 other people that are bidding on the house you want, so you can be the one that gives it back to the bank, so that you can be the bag holder. This is what the article wants you to do. They want to get more suckers into the game, if you will. Look, I'm a real estate broker. We need some buyers out there. We need some buyers desperately. We got to keep this market propped up, and that's what this is going to do. You got to hurry up and buy so you can lose it later, and you will lose it later, I promise you. Look, things are going to be underwater soon. I'm talking about 40%. I know people hate when I say that. It's not going to happen in my area, Mike. It's just not possible. And maybe it's not. Maybe you're one of the moon boys that live in that area that think houses are going to continue to go up to the moon. I do not have that take. That's not my take. My take is we're going to revert back to the mean, which is down about 40% from here. Now, look, here's the thing. Here's what I want to tell you. Someone pointed this out in the comments to me, and it's a very good point, and we don't talk about it enough. Who has the advantage right now? The buyers or the sellers? Well, here's the thing. Could argue that the buyers have the advantage. Now, why do they have the advantage? Because the buyer doesn't need to buy. They don't need to buy a home. They may want to buy a home. They may want to buy a home really bad, but they don't need to buy a home because they could go and rent that exact same home for 50 cents on the dollar. They don't need to buy. They could rent. They could rent for half the cost it takes to buy. So the buyer does not need to buy, okay? But yet the seller, some of them are going to need to sell. Some of them are going to have to get out. Some of them are not going to be able to afford their home. Some of them are going to go through a divorce. Some of them are going to die. Some of them are going to have business bankruptcies. Some of them are going to get laid off. Some of them are going to need to sell, not want to sell. They're going to absolutely 100% need to sell. Okay, now those are the clients I like. Those are the ones I look for. I don't want someone that just, oh, I'll sell if, I get Billy Bob's price. I don't want to work with that client. I want to work with the client that 100% needs to sell because I know I'm going to get paid on that house because they're going to sell it at any price and they're going to lower the price until it sells. Now, right now, they can get close to the price that Billy Bob got. And that's great. I've got a listing now and they're going to get within 10% of where Billy Bob sold at. And they're very happy about that. They're very excited about that. They're one of the first that's making it out. You see, not everybody's going to make it out. And this is what I want to talk about. You see, houses are sold on the margin. They're sold on the margin. Look, there's over 1 million homes in the U.S., but there's only what? Over 100 million homes, over 100 million homes in the U.S., but there's only about 500,000 homes for sale right now. Now, those are the homes for sale. 500,000 homes for sale over, let's call it 120 million homes, right? 500,000 of them are for sale. Now, these 500,000 are the ones that determine the price of these 120 million homes. These 120 million homes, they're going to be determined by what these 500,000 people can get out of the market at. Now, if they get out of the market at Billy Bob price, you're going to stay at record highs. But as the prices start to go down, as they can't get out of the market, as they have to sell, these 120 million homes, the value goes down. But Mike, that's not possible. My home could never go down. I would never sell below what Billy Bob sold at. So that means my home stays up here. I decide the price of my home's worth, not these 500,000. You can think that all you want, but that is not true. His homes are sold on the margin, right? Let's say you got 100 homes in the area. 2 of them are for sale. The first one sells at $1 million. Next one, he has trouble finding a buyer. He has to sell at 900,000. Guess what? All the homes magically move down to 900,000 because that's the most recent comp. That will have the highest weight with the appraisers. Even if you find someone that wants to pay you $1 million too, it's not going to appraise, so they better have cash if they're going to sell it up there. But they don't because they're smarter. The next one's going to sell for less and for less. People don't get that. Houses sell on the margin. When your neighbor sells for half the price of your home just went down in value. Even though in your mind, it's still worth what Billy Bob paid, but in real life, it is not. It's not. Okay, I want to talk about another article here. Another article came out saying, this was fascinating to me. Okay, the average U.S. 50-year-old, their household net worth has reached $1 million. $1 million. That's the average for a 50-year-old's net worth. Now, that was fascinating to me. Now, I went on to read the article a little farther. Don't get too depressed if you don't have $1 million. But I went on to read that was the average. And the average gets pulled up with all of the billionaires, with all the Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos. They pull that average way up. Now, what was the median? The median was actually below 300,000 net worth, and that counted equity in the home and everything. So the median for the 50-year-old was actually below 300,000, which was still fascinating to me. It's a lot of money because I know that most people reaching the retirement age don't really have money saved up. But here's the thing. Now, why has the net worth increased so much, right? I mean, well, basically we printed money, right? The value of the money went down. It went down. It went down. Every time we print another $1 trillion, the value of all the dollars in your wallet, they buy less and less stuff, right? Now, I mean, I'm an old guy now. When I was a kid, oh, I remember like a millionaire. A millionaire, that really meant something. Wow. And if you were a billionaire, I think there were only two or three of them when I was a kid. 2 or 3 billionaires. A billionaire really meant something. And $1 trillion, nobody knew how much that was. That was an insane amount of money. Now we print $1 trillion every 3 months. Every 3 months we go $1 trillion farther in debt. So now we got to start talking about the quadrillions. 2 quadrillions in derivatives. I mean, this is just unbelievable, but it's really happened just recently, this phenomenon of how wealthy people have gotten. Now, how'd they get wealthy? Well, we had this thing called the pandemic, right? We had a pandemic. Now, in the old days when you had a pandemic, it meant bad stuff, right? It destroyed the economy. Businesses, they went out of business. People went bankrupt. It caused a lot of pain. But now the modern monetary theory pandemic, what does it do? It makes people rich, right? People got rich in the pandemic. They handed out the PPP money. They doubled the unemployment to everybody, but they shut the whole economy down to a standstill. They closed it up, right? Economy came to a halt, but yet everybody got rich. And you know who really got rich is those billionaires. Man, those billionaires, they doubled their net worth. They tripled their net worth. I mean, I think we should have a pandemic like every 5 years just so people can get rich, right? I mean, we're going to get to the point where they're going to bring out this stuff called universal basic income. We're going to get to socialism. I mean, the pandemic, it exposed way too many things. You see, you didn't have to pay your rent. You didn't have to pay your mortgages. You didn't have to pay your student loans. And the world went on. So why not just allow us to just print the money and we'll just stop making the payments on those, right? And we don't need to pay taxes because they can just print the money to do that. You see, the pandemic has now set this as a precedent. So they just might as well just print $1 million for everybody. Why not, right? We could print $1 million and hand it out to everybody and just give everybody $1 million. If you have a newborn baby, well, let's just give him $1 million so he can be a millionaire his whole life. But you see, here's the point. A millionaire doesn't mean anything anymore. And I promise you, there's coming a time where the dollar goes to zero. The dollar's just going to go away. The dollar's going to collapse and it's going to vanish. It's going to vanish. But Mike, we have the world reserve currency. It's never hyperinflated on a world reserve currency. It's true. But they haven't been as stupid as our government is, right? Our government just keeps printing the money. And I promise you that there's going to come a time where there's no amount of dollars that you could trade for an ounce of gold. Out gold being real money, right? Gold is real money, and eventually the dollar is going to be completely worthless, right? I don't know what will replace it. A lot of you moon boys think Bitcoin's going to replace the dollar. Now the central bank's got a little different plan for you. Central banks, they say that's going to be the central bank digital currency. I'd tend to bet with the central banks. I'd tend to bet with them that that's where the reset comes. But these dollars that you have now going to be completely worthless. But they'll probably start up a UBI program, Universal Basic Income, to get you into the CBDC. When you sign up for your account, they'll give you, I don't know, $1,000 a month for the next 5 years or something, so you have something to live on. Of course, they don't have the money to give you. They're just going to print that money, and the whole world is going to look very different than it does today. These are the good times. Mark my words. We right now are in the good times, and you got to enjoy these times because what's coming is not pretty. Now, I like to talk about it a lot because I'm obsessed with what's coming. I study this stuff, and it's just amazing to me that we kicked the can down the road this far. But look, it's coming to an end. We don't have years left. maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, but 5 years, not a chance. It's coming quicker than that. You can feel the change coming. I feel the change coming. You can feel something wicked this way comes, right? It ain't going to be pretty, but I like studying this, and apparently some of you do. If you like it, give me the thumbs up. This is what I talk about on this channel, so punch the subscribe button. But get out there, everybody. Enjoy the good times that we have now. I'm Tall Mike. Bye-bye now.